Any questions on the previous topic? Yesterday we covered about the how we need to do the navigation part with the XCTL command. Today, guys, we will see how to deal with the data with a DB2 table. So this is one of the most important topic, guys. Basically, online projects mostly use our VSOM file or a database, and in that also, guys, 80% will be database only, 20% will be VSOM files. So if you fall into a VSOM file, guys, it's like more of a file concept, but not so friendly, guys. But if you fall into a DB2 online project, it's very easy, guys. Good project. Online only, but very easy project, guys. You just need to know COBOL and DB2, which you already have knowledge. So I'm going to show you how to access the data from a DB2 table through online program. So before that, any questions? Can you hear me? First of all, I just set up my mic, something new today. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, great. So I can hear you as well. So my mic is set properly. So let me tell you the topic here, COBOL, which is CSCS and DB2 program, guys. This is what I want to do. Earlier we have a screen, guys, and the screen was directly interacting with the program. That's what happening here. The program was just doing some addition and replying back, or it is doing navigation and replying back here itself. But now what I want to do is I want to have a process where the screen is trying to talk to program, and then program go back and talk to a DB2 table here. Then get some data, okay, maybe relevant some data there, and then program reply back to the same screen, or it can be navigated to another screen as well. So we are trying to do a data communication with the user through DB2 table. Now for this, what you need to know is, again, same thing, guys. You are a developer, so what you will need to think, first thing is how to code a program, how to code a COBOL CSS DB2 program. So what are my changes? I know, guys, we already know how to code a COBOL program. We know how to code a COBOL DB2 program. We know how to code a COBOL CSS program. We know. Now there is another category now, right? So COBOL, CSS, and DB2. So now what I want you to do is to learn how to connect all those three. Okay, now you want me to show that how to connect all these three here. So for that, I'm gonna show you here how to do it in step by step. Then once you know how to code a program, guys, then what you need to do is how to compile this program. So a different method here, and then finally how to set up and execute. So as a developer, guys, these are the three things that you need to know for everything, maybe any type of program. So first, let's see what are the changes. So basically no changes, guys. Okay, basically a COBOL, CSS, and DB2, they all are together, but they don't talk to each other anyway. CSS will not talk to DB2, and DB2 will not talk to CSS as well. The common fellow is COBOL. So from ID division, guys, okay, you are in ID division, no changes. You are in the environment division, guys, again, no changes. This doesn't make any changes with respect to CSS in here or DB2. Then comes to the data division. Data division is the place where these two people will have to be changed. So if it is a DB2 related, guys, you know there are two things. Okay, you need to have two things in this one. First, you need to have the copybooks exec SQL include statement, and you add the copybook of SQLCA, the table declensions, and then second thing is your cursors. Okay, you know this exec SQL declare the cursor. This is the place where you define the cursor name and cursor like this. Apart from this, when you go to CSS part, CSS has only one thing, guys, to add copybooks only. Only one thing here, that is to add the copybook by using copy statement. You need to add the symbolic map. This is one copybook you need, DFHAD copybook you need, DFH CA copybook you need, and any other thing if you need. Then go to the linkage section. In the linkage section, you have one more change related to CSS. DB2 has nothing here. In CSES, we have one thing else to add here. One is the copybook of DFH EIB LK. This will be added by the compiler only, so you don't need to worry. And there is a group variable to decide. Okay, you need to have a group variable of DFH com area to receive the data. Then go to the procedure division. Okay, then go to the procedure division. In the procedure division, DB2 has its own structure to write the query and exit and check the SQL code. And check the SQL code is 0 or not. And if it is CSES, then you have its own tag of exit CSES, the command and exit. And here you will be checking the response code. Response code is equal to DFH resp of normal. So this is how you check the commands for CSES and SQL code for DB2. As you notice, there is no change specifically that you need to add, guys. For DB2, you already know these 2 points. And for CSES, we already seen what these 2 points are. No other changes, guys. The pseudo logic will be as it is. The pseudo logic will be as it is. Whenever you want to access the data of a table, create a paragraph, call the paragraph. So there is no change related to a program when you are mixing CSES and DB2 as well. Got it? Any questions here? Any questions here? Okay. Second part is also simple, guys. Second part is the compilation. Now let's go and talk to the others first. So if you have only COBOL code, guys, you know this. If it is only COBOL code, we use the compilation process here. We use something called compilation process here. And as per compilation process, you'll be having a job J1 with step S1 as IGYCRCTL. And then you will be using HEWL as the link editor to get the load. One is enough. Load is enough. But if you have a COBOL plus DB2 code, then what you do, you go for a process called pre-compilation process here, because DB2 needs some other step to add. So we use a separate job where we have step 1, which is the DSN HPC. And then we have a step 2 here, which will be your compiler IGYCRCTL. And then there is a step 3 here. Step 3 is your link editor step HEWL. So you know you get the 2 outputs here. One the load and another is DBRM. But DBRM is not ready for execution, so you go for the second process called bind process. In that you will be using another job, like another step with IKJEFT01, and then you create a package and a plan. So in here you need a plan for executing the DB2 query, and you need the load for executing the program. So for COBOL DB2 programs, you need 2 outputs. But if I have a program plus CSES program here, then what I need the translation process. Okay, we call this as the translation process, similar to pre-compilation, a little bit similar to pre-compilation. Here you will be using DFH ECP $1. This is the translator. And then you have the same story, IGYCRCTL. The translator also will comment the CSES part, and then HEWL, and you get only one output load. Okay, unlike in DB2, you got DBRM for queries. For CSES commands, you will not get any output. You get only one output load. This contains the COBOL code. This contains the CSES command as well. Both will be there. Then what you do, use it for execution. But now I have COBOL, DB2 and CSES, the last category. What you need to do is mix up everything. You mix everything here for this fellow. So what we do is first we go for the pre-compilation, and then we'll add the translation, and then we'll add the compilation. So you have all 3 to do. So you will be using a separate job J5. In that first step is to go for DSN HPC. And this one, what it will do, it will comment out all the exit SQL part. Okay, it will comment out all the exit SQL fellows. Then you go for translation, DFH ECP $1. What this will do, it will comment out the exit SQL CSCS part. So both are gone. Both are gone from the program. So the modified code can be compiled with the COBOL compiler and then the linked. So you get two outputs here. You get the load for the COBOL and you get the DVRM for the SQL part. For this one, you'll get the DVRM. As you see, there is a DVRM here. So you need to go for the bind process separately again. So you get a plan. So if at all, in a very simple sense, guys, if at all you have a COBOL CSS DB2 code, you get one load and one plan required. One load and one plan required, guys. Then only you can execute. Clear with the compilation? Any questions here? All I did, guys, is explained everything what we know already. This is all very explained topics only, guys. There is nothing new here. I just mixed them up all together. For CSCS, this is the one. For DB2, this is the one. For COBOL, this is the one. So they all remain same always. They will not change. Only the step sequence got changed or consolidated here in this job file. Whenever you have DBRM, this will be the same thing for the bind process for every way. Right? Any questions here? Any questions, guys? The last part is to set up and execute. So what we have here, okay, what we have is the load, what we have is the plan, and what we'll be having is the transaction ID. So these are the three components what you'll have now. As you know, you have a map sets, you'll be having a program. They all will be having the loads. They all will be having the load. So whenever you have a load, you need to go for a PPT entry there, which is to give CDA define map set or CDA define program and then install. This is for load. And whenever you have a transaction ID, then you need to go for a PCT entry. PCT program control table, PCT entry here. For that, you will be giving CDA define program, trans, give the ID, transaction ID to trigger, and the program that need to be triggered here. So like this, you give the PCT entry. But now I have a plan also. So plan come under RCT entry, guys. Plan come under RCT entry. In this RCT entry, there are three sub entries to do. Okay, in this RCT entry, guys, there will be three sub entries required here. One will be DB2C, second will be DB2E, E for entry, and DB2T, T for transaction. T for transaction. So the first one, guys, is a connection. This is a connection between the CSCS and DB2, guys. This is the main connection between CSCS and DB2. Now this is to be set by admin, not by you guys. This is nothing at all related to your program. This will be there already. Okay, the admin guys, he will connect the production CSCS to production DB2 SSID. So these connections will be known as DB2 CSCS attachment facility. This is referred as DB2 CSCS attachment facility, and this is done already long time back when the CSCS was having installed. When DB2 got installed, the admin has already set up it. So today you don't need to do anything on that. The second thing is what you need to give the plan details. Okay, you need to give the plan name in this entry. Okay, you need to give the plan name in this DB2 entry. For that, what you do is you write the command CDA define DB2E and give the entry ID 4 characters and the group name. Hit enter. Okay, don't come out. There will be a blank for you to give the plan name. So fill this with your plan name and then enter again F3. So you'll be seeing define successful and you come out. Then you do the install. This is only one time you can do. Okay, you cannot read update again and again. So install is the same name like this. This is the first thing you do. Generally earlier what you did define and you came out. No changes were made. But now you don't come out. When you define, there is a place where you can give the plan name. There are a lot of details you should be giving, but as much to my prior training or as much to my knowledge on the admin side, if you give the plan name, that is enough for our training. So you give the plan name and hit enter, come out and then install. Now what we did, guys, okay, what we did here is there is a transaction ID, okay, that will trigger the program. Then within the program, there is an entry ID. There's an entry ID that will use the plan to connect the DB2 system. Now, what we need to do is the second step is we need to connect this transaction ID with this entry ID. So system knows with which authorization to use. System knows to use which authorization, guys. Okay, one more time, let me tell you. What we are trying to do is a connection from the front end to back end. So transaction is connected to program. This transaction is not connected to DB2, guys. And this entry ID is only connecting to DB2, but this doesn't have the access. The access should be taken from the user. The access should come from the user. So if this user have access, only then this should be able to connect. So the entry ID needs a connection with the transaction ID authorizations. So for that, we will be giving a DB2T entry here. We'll be mentioning a T entry here. This one, when you give here, this will connect the transaction ID. Okay, we are just connecting everything, guys. You are connecting transaction ID to your entry ID. So this is the one that is triggering the program. This is the one that is triggering the plan. So both should be connected as well. For that, you just do the same thing here. Define DB2T, give some number here or anything there. Give the name, hit enter and don't go back directly. There will be a place where you can give the entry ID and there is a place where you give the transaction ID. Okay, there might be some more knowledge required, guys, but it is under admin part only. This setup, everything will be done admin. But in our software, I have an option to show you. So I have learned few things to make it work. So these are minimum required. More than this, the admin will have a lot of other things to add, guys. Okay. So you give the entry ID and transaction ID and then hit enter again. So that you'll see define successful F3 and then again like this install DB2E and group name. 3 entries required, guys. One is the PPT entry for all the load modules of your programs map sets. All the transactions will come under PCT entry to tell which tran to trigger which program. And the plan is required, but per plan there are 3 entries here. First entry is already done by the admin only. So you don't need to worry. But the second 2 parts will be done by admin, but for him you need to mention the plan name and you need to mention the transaction ID for him so that he will connect with these 2 entries. One is the entry for the plan, one is the entry for the connecting the tran and entry ID. Okay, so these 3 are called as RCT entry, resource control table. I'll show it in practical also, but yeah, first thing first, you need to know theory. Clear? Any questions?
Anil, this last entry which we are making DB2 entry, so this entry ID do we need to mention somewhere in program as well, or
No, not required. Plan is what system knows to read. System need only the plan name, right?
yes.
So assume this DB2E entry is like your IKJ of T01.
Okay.
So if you tell that one, system will pick the plan. System knows the plan now because you made a proper connections here. You made a proper connection to which entry ID to trigger, right? for which transaction ID, for which program, which entry ID to connect. They all are, you are making all systematically set up here.
Okay, so this trans ID is somewhat connected with the plan as plan as well, and then entry ID as well.
No, it is enough to connect entry ID because entry ID contains the plan number, right?
Plan number. Okay.
So you
Okay.
just
Yeah.
need this fellow to connect to this fellow. So how the system knows to run which entry ID? So we are giving another sub connectivity here, saying that this transaction ID can trigger this entry ID. And
Okay,
this
and that
entry
entry
ID
ID will include the plan.
plan name. It contains a plan.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Any questions, guys? Three parts. Okay, three parts, guys. Look at three parts. First thing, how to write a COBOL CSS DB2 program, guys. That is completely simple because it doesn't have any connection between them. They all are looking together, but they behave individually in the room. Okay, they are a family, guys, but they don't speak to each other. When you are compiling also, you need to compile them separately one by one step only. You cannot compile together anytime. When you are setting up, then you need this new part. This is the new part, guys. The compilation coding you know already. Setup part is always new to you because these are the entries that you need to make with the help of DBA. So even if you don't know in the project, guys, okay, you can just ask the DBA what details he need. He will ask you your program name, his transaction ID, what is your application name, what is your environment you are. Those questions he will ask you where you can find your with your team help or you can answer yourself some of them. All these entries will be done by him. You don't need to worry. And again, in the interview, you tell only till this part, not all these things. Okay. In the interview, you tell that RCT entries are required. In my project, we generally provide the plan name, transaction, and everything to the admin, and he will set up the entries for us. Once it is done, they will inform us and we'll test it. This is for you to know. This is for you to tell. Got it? Let's do the practical. So for this practical, guys, okay, it's a little tricky, easy practical, tricky components. I did a login process setup, guys. Okay, I need a login process setup. Generally, how the login process will do, you will have one screen where you will be giving your user ID and the password. You will be giving your user ID and password. Then you press enter. So there will be a program which will take as input and it needs to check. Okay, it needs to check with the table, with the DB2 table, whether your ID and password are matching or not. If they are not matching, okay, if not matching, generally we'll give an error message, error saying that the password or ID are invalid, something like that. But if the ID and password are valid, okay, if they are matching with the user entry, then what you do, you navigate to the ISPF screen. You navigate to the ISPF screen. So this is what I want to do in our practical as well. For this, I need two screens. One, the login screen. I need a login screen program or map. The second one is after login. So if user gave the proper ID and password after login screen, like ISPF, I have designed one screen. I need to go to that screen if the ID and password are matching. Now there are two screens, so you need two main programs here. One program with the login program, okay, to connect with the login program and send and receive. And then other one is after login program. After login program. Now what I made here is one sub program, guys. I need a one sub program here. I need one sub program here. One second, guys. One second. Okay. Right. So here, guys, the trick is to make program little better. So I have a sub program, guys. This is a non-screen program. This is a particularly non-screen program, guys. So this one will do the validation here. Okay, this one will do the validation of the screens, validation of the ID and password. So the logic of matching is done by the sub program, not by the login program. Generally, what happens, guys, the users, okay, there will be thousands of users, guys. Okay, thousands of users will try to log in. Now, in that 1,000, guys, let's 100 people are giving wrong ID password each time. Okay, every day out of 1,000, people are giving ID and password wrong, guys. Now, if you keep your SQL query in the main program, guys, if you keep the SQL query in the main program, each time for wrong inputs also, you need to connect to DB2. For each wrong input also, you need to connect to DB2. So what project will do, guys, project will have a main program which only do the user communication for data. Only user communication. So it will check only input is given or not. If not, send back. If not, send error message. This is what it will do in the main case. Now, if the user gave valid ID and password, then it will use a sub programs, guys. Your sub programs will contain the data communications, maybe files, maybe tables, maybe file or a table, because most of the cases you don't need the connection for every table and every file at a time. So all the DB2 connections, all the DB2 programs will be in sub program, guys, not in the main program. Okay, there are some programs which contains the queries for inquiry purpose also, but as I told you, that is not the only which you need to see. You will have, remember my point, you will have most of your data communication part, most of your data communication part in the sub program, not in the main program. So I learned that from my project. So I have designed such a case here. Same thing, how to do a screen communication, how to do a data communication in a same way. So we need two screens, two programs, one sub program here. On top of this, okay, we need one table also, guys. Obviously, we need one table where I can have my backup ID and password, user ID and password here. All these components are being set here. Okay, I'm gonna show you one by one. Before I show you, any questions here? Any questions, guys?
What is that rack of ID?
Okay, mainframe user IDs are actually called as rack of IDs. We call, for your convenience, we are calling it as user ID, but in reality, mainframe IDs are actually called as resource access, something like that, rack of ID. I don't remember the full form, but I can see somewhere here for you. Where is this? Okay, this is one. Resource access control facility. That is the actual ID what you are using. IBM user is not the user ID. It's called actually data ID. Resource access. Any other question, guys? Okay, so let's do one by one. So the first thing is to have a table, guys. Okay, so I have my DB2 system on. This is my table here. I already have the table, guys. Created a simple table. Created a simple table with ID and password. IDs are primary key because they don't should have a duplicates here. So ID and password, guys, this is my ID and this is my password. If I give this ID and password only, I should be logging, guys. If I have some other ID and password, it should not allow me. That's what the story. F3, F3. Or else I can just take a copy here I'll share these programs, guys, but the bad situation is you cannot run them. Okay, you can only see these guys. Your software is not capable of doing this. So look at this point. If you have any questions, ask me. I'll show it anyway in the debug mode also. So here, yeah, I have a screens. I need two screens here. So this is one screen, the login screen. This is one, it will ask you the ID and password. And this is the one which will show you after login the ISPF screen. Okay, this will be showing you the ISPF screen. So both are map sets, basic map sets. So just compile them. Make sure you have the load updated here. So this is the one as it is. Submit. And this is the one. This is like your ISPF screen, guys. I took time to design this one unnecessarily, but yeah. Submit here. So you have two maps. Okay, you have two maps. So you get two load modules here, guys, two loads. So you need a PPT entry here. Then obviously you need to go back and do the programs as well. So corresponding programs are this one. This is a login program. This will just check, guys. I'll show it in the debug mode. This will only check whether you gave ID and password. If you have given, then it will call the validation part. So this is your menu program. This is the after login ISPF screen program. So these are just COBOL CSS program, guys. Okay, these are just COBOL CSS. They don't contain any DB2, guys. Okay, this one doesn't contain any DB2 part. So you can compile with the translation process alone. You can just compile with translation process. This is the login program one. And this will get again two loads, guys. Just need PPT entries for that. This is successful. And this one, MNU1 program. So these two fellows are just COBOL CSS programs, guys. They don't have any DB2 friends. Hitting again, and then for each of these screen programs, you need a transaction ID. So I'll put it as LGN1. This is your transaction ID, guys. So this requires two trans. So you need two PCT entries here. Now, the other one is the intelligent one is the sub program, guys. This is the sub program. This is the one which contains the code of your CS. This is the DB2 part of code. This is CSS. This is CSS part of the code. These are the select queries to check whether you give ID and password properly or not. So this is the one which contains CSS code, SQL code, and COBOL code. So this one should go to the full-fledged compilation story. So I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna run it here, and then I'll go to the spool for you. Okay, this is my system, so it will be down bottom. Yeah. So you see, this is the pre-compilation step. And if I show you the after pre-compilation step, the exit SQL part will be commented because that is a pre-compiler work. And the CSS will look as it is. CSS will not be commented by the pre-compiler. Only the SQL part will be gone. Then after translation, if I show you the code, then the CSS part also. Find CSS. CSS part also got commented. So no SQL part, no CSS part. Rest is COBOL part, guys. So that will go for compilation and link edit to create the load and DBRM. So since you have a DBRM story here, you know the drill to do the bind also. You need to go for the bind to bind that particular packages and create a plan. So you need the whole story. This is your subprogram, guys. This is only the subprogram. Will not have any transaction ID. Only the load is there. So you need one special PPT entry here. And you have a plan, guys, S1304PL. So this is the plan. This fellow, this one single plan what you have will come under the RCT entry. You got everything in place, guys. Okay, you have everything in place. Now, any questions on this part, guys? Anyone?
Anil, we cannot run these programs, or we can.
You cannot run, I can.
Okay, so can we see that? Means,
Yes, I'll
code.
show you what I'm doing now.
No, meaning the PDS have access so that we can go through the program. No?
I'll share the programs directly to you.
Okay, okay,
I
yeah, that will be.
download, I'll share, and it is already ready to share. I think I already shared before, but I'll again share for you.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Programs will be shared, guys. Don't worry. This class recording is there already in the YouTube channel as well, and it is recording in your session as well.
Okay.
Now, let's go one by one. Okay, now what you need to do, the last part, guys, let's do a setup and execute. Let's do the setup and execute. It should work mostly, but this software I haven't. So I'm opening the CSS here. Okay, so clean the screen. Let's set up the components all together. Cedar define. First, we'll set the load. Okay, so there is a load module name of the map set. So this is the map set name. So let's set up all loads first. This is all loads T4. Define. One new group created. F3. Install. Do the same for the each and every load. So you have another load, the MNU set 1. So MNU set 1. So this fellow define F3 install. Done. So we have both loads completed here. Nice. Now let's go and do the same load setup for the programs. So while doing the load setup for programs, okay, let me clean for you so that you can see it properly. Cedar define program, name of the program, and which group it belongs to, your application group. Hit enter. No need to make any changes. F3 and install. Same thing. You can do it for another program, but since you are here, what you do is give the transaction ID also. So LGN1 login 1 is the transaction ID to trigger this fellow. Hit enter. F3 and install. F3 and install the transaction ID. This is PCT entry like this. Done. So we are done with only one program, one tran. So this program is set up, this tran is set up. Let's do the same thing for this new main screen as well. So Cedar define the program. This is my program. This is the name of the program which I want to use, and this is the place where it should be residing. F3 and install. So this is the load entry. This PPT entry is done. And then do the connection here itself immediately. Trans the MNU1. So this will trigger this program if required. Define successful. F3 install. So while installing transaction, programs are not required. The syntax is this much only. Done. So we got done with the PPT entry for the programs, main programs, PCT entry for the trans. Now let's have the subprogram. Subprogram is just a non-screen program, guys. So for non-screen programs, you don't need transaction IDs. They will be triggered by other programs. So just define a PPT entry with the program name and group name. So check mistake. F3 and install. So we're done with the setup for the subprogram load only. The last part what we have is the RCT entry, guys. For that you need this plan fellow. Clear the screen. Okay, clear the screen. If you see here, Cedar define. You can do 3 parts. Okay, but as I told you, the first part is done by the system admin only. That is the thing, guys. In your software, this part is not set up properly, and I don't know how to set up it. In my system, luckily it is set up, so I can show you how this whole process can work. So connection part is already there, guys. Let's do the entry part. So Let me go here. DB2 E as some number LGN2 and the group T4. Hit enter. Don't go away. Come here. You see this place. Give the plan name. That's what you have to do. One additional step. Hit enter. F3 and then install. So only one additional thing you have to do after enter. So it's already there, existing definition. So no need to worry, guys. It is already there for other students also. I use the same number. So it is there. If it is not there, you'll get it as successful. If it's already there, it says existing definition only. So if you want to delete it and then you have to do a lot of steps, but assume that it is successful. Assume that it is successful. So then DB2T, give another number here. Entry is done. You are giving the transaction setup there. Enter. Here it will give the entry ID LGN2 and which transaction to connect. So this is how you make a connection here. Let me show you the diagram. This is what connecting these two fellows by the transaction type. T entry, entry ID LGN2, transaction ID LG1. So when I trigger this one, this will get the connectivity as well. Hit enter. It says define successful. F3 install. Again, one time setup, guys. It's already there. Okay, it's already there. Same is there. So it doesn't matter. If it is different, then it will be successful. In our case, it is already there. So it says unsuccessful. Don't worry. Don't worry because its setup is done long back for all the students. All the students, they use the same numbers and name, guys, because if I use different numbers, different names, it will be hectic to delete everything. Now come back here down. This is also done. Let's test it, guys. Let's test it. So how I test it? Give the LGN ID. So I got the screen. Okay, so first test is to check whether you can trigger the transaction to the program and then see the screen. So when I gave LGN, as you already know, when I gave LGN, the system knows which program name to trigger and then it knows which map set to send. In the program, you'll have the map set to send. So everything is connected and I can see the screen. Now, as per our entries, these are the only one which is valid, Anil12 and Anil123. So let me give that Anil12 and Anil123 and hit enter. It says, please type your user ID. That means it's not working, guys. It's working actually. So maybe I have not given properly. So it's working, guys. This is like ISPF screen. This has been designed long back when I was in this particular training center in 2012. Very long, 10 years back, guys. 10 years back only I designed everything like this. These are nothing for us, guys. So what happened? Okay, what you seen is a simple thing, but it doesn't show you like this, guys. You need to see what happened in backend also. Okay, so for that, let me debug, guys. Let me debug here. Give the enter here and then clear the screen. Give the LGN1 enter. So triggering the program, guys, triggering this program, press enter, just press enter, sending the map, normal, returning the transaction ID, terminating, done. What I need to give is the user as Anil12 and password Anil123. Should I give 123? Okay. Hit enter. Receiving the map. So I got ID here Anil12 and password here Anil123. Now let's go to the program. Let's see the program here. Till that time, you know, guys, how the receive command will work. You know it, guys. Doesn't make any new thing there. So once you have received, guys, what I generally we do is we remove all the underscores and put it as spaces. As you see, system is receiving these underscores as well, right? So what we need to do, use the inspect statement, replace all underscores by spaces. That's what the first thing we do here. Then what I'm checking here is if the response of this program command is normal, if user ID is given or not. Okay, if user ID is equal to spaces or low values, then we'll send a message saying that please type your ID. But in our case, the else condition will be true because we give ID and it's not spaces. Now what happens here is it will set up the fields, and it will call the subprogram, guys. It's calling the subprogram to validate the user ID only. Okay, generally I can validate both, but just for training purpose, I'm showing you first I'll validate only ID, then I'll validate password also. Okay, generally you can do it in one query. Just to show you in debug two times immediately, I made it for check only ID first, then check for password. So here, this is U represents to check only user ID and there will be P to check password. So this indicator, guys, will tell whether the user ID is valid or not. This is the output field, guys. This is the input, this is the input, this is the output. So if this output is yes, then it is a valid. If it is still no, then it is an invalid. Okay. Now here, enter, press enter. This is the program we are calling here, the subprogram, and I'm passing the name, user ID, not name, user ID, and the switch. And this is the output variable I'm expecting, guys. Whether it is valid or not, this program will decide. Whether this ID is valid or not, this N or yes will be set by this subprogram. Okay, like I said, when you're using subprogram, you can pass data through COM area. This is my COM area, guys. This is my COM area. This WS COM area you see here, it contains all the variables that I want to send. ID, password, validation of user ID, validation of password, what validation you are doing. Either it is you are validating a user ID or you are validating the password. Now, if I go to the subprogram here, in the subprogram, I have the same variables, guys. I have the same sequence, but in the DFH COM area. This is the one which is receiving, guys. And as I send you, as I'm sending you here, it will go to this 100 para and run only the select query, validating only the ID what I sent. If the system finds a match for this ID, you get SQL code 0. If it doesn't find this ID, then you'll get the else path. So if it is 0, which is successful, then it is a valid. If it is 100, then it is not found, then it is invalid. So this is how a simple logic is written, guys. It checks whether your ID is true or false. If it is true, then yes. If it is not found, then no. What you need to see here is how the link is working. Like I told, XCTL will terminate this program, but link will not. What link will do is it will start this one. It will make this one to wait. So hit enter. Subprogram, guys, got initiated. COM area got received here. System is running the first select query here. And it got SQL code 0. That means it is a successful query execution. So system will set the value as Y here and the control will go back to return command. Okay, the para is completed, guys. 100 para is completed. It will come here and return. So as you see, press enter, return, subprogram terminated, and the control came back to the main program where it left. The control will come back, guys, when you use link. And moreover, if you see the indicator has been changed. Call by reference concept, guys. COM area and DFH COM area share same memory. COM area, DFH COM area variables, they share same memory. So whatever the changes you do in the subprogram, it will affect the code in the main program variables as well. So all are concepts with regular knowledge only, guys. So you are done here. Okay, you have done here. Then what I did the same logic for password also. So I'll check whether user gave password or not. If he has given the password, this time I'll ask the system to go and check the password and say this is the field to update. One more time, guys, link data is passing through COM area. This is the one what you need to interestingly see. Okay. Since this is a subprogram by link, it will just make this one to wait. It will initiate this like this. It will do the logic as per our logic, a select query again. Successful with the matching of ID and password. Returning guys, returning. While I returned it, the subprogram got terminated. The main program got the control. The main program got the control. Now you see these indicators saying that both ID and password are valid. Both ID and password are valid. So what I did here, if everything is valid, guys, if everything is valid, then what you do, go and call the after screen program and call the after screen program. So XCTL part. Now, as you know already XCTL, when I'm using XCTL, first this fellow will be terminated and then this fellow will get the control. Navigation. We are just doing navigation now. This main program got terminated. The menu program got initiated and it will send its own map. It will send its own map. This is your full map and transaction ID. This is the one what you triggered with, but this is the one which will be written to come back to this screen. Pseudo logic written with same transaction ID, written the same hanky there, written, done. If you want to see navigation one more time, hit F3, hit F3, XCTL previous login screen. First menu program will be terminated. Then the login program will initiate and take the control, send its own map, screen navigation, send its own map and release its own transaction ID. So each program, when it release only his transaction ID, not others fellows. This one was triggering the menu program, but now the control is coming to the login program like this. Clear? Any questions here? Any questions, guys? Any questions here? You can do some wrong also, guys. Okay, you can do some wrong. So if you see here, I type Anil3 and I came here down. Please type your password. You see here, I cannot edit this fellow now. You see this font fellow. This is because I made a change it to protect. Okay, let me show you what I did here. If user gave only ID, okay, if user gave only ID and he missed the password, then what I did, I changed the property of the user ID to protect. PR stands for protect. Earlier it was unprotected only. Earlier the user was able to type the ID, but now what I'm asking you to type the password. So when you're asking him to type the password, he should only type the password for this ID. Of course, if you want, he can clear the screen and type again, but he has to type the password only for this one, like this. If user don't give anything here, simply you get like this, please type your ID. And if you give a wrong ID, then you get saying that please type a valid user ID and the control will be there. So, okay, I'll type valid user ID. I'll type valid password like this. Any other ID you give, it won't work because you know the query will not be running with successful. You got it, guys? Any questions here quickly? Any questions, guys? Okay, then I'll share you these programs. I'll share you the notes as well, guys. Just go on with that. If you have a question, let me know. Probably I need to use this software for our next 2 classes where we need to deal with the files, the VSON topic. VSON file program, you can do it in your software, guys. You have a VSON topic that you can do it in your software. That's where it's possible. But there is another program, whether it is there in this system. There is another special program, guys, that I'll show it to you probably if possible. If not, I'll have a recording already. I can share it with you for that one, guys. In this one, it is not there. My old system might have that one. I'll share it, guys, if I not able to replicate here in this software, which may take some lot of time. but I'll share a recording to you. It is not available in YouTube also. The recording is only one which I have in my bucket. So I'll share that special recording to you and the programs for them. Of course, if I cannot replicate here, then I can show you that. If I can replicate here, then I can directly show you guys. You don't need that recording also. You have your own class recording. Okay. Any questions here? Any questions, guys? Okay, so see you then tomorrow. I'll save these notes for you and share it with you after the 5 minutes, guys. Okay.